So we have shielded wire. This is double shielded wire. To get the right length, remember, take your middle finger, place it at the base. Gives you exactly 3 to 3.5 inches. Take a nice sharp X-Acto, and all you want to do is just touch and then bend the wire. You can kind of see it there, it's starting to show your shield. So now move around to the other side. Keep working your way around. You don't have to touch hard. And basically maneuver it so that you can see the shield is exposed. And there you go, I lied to you. They do stamp it. So there you can see M27500, 22 S2. So that means 2 conductor 22. So once you have it scored lightly so that you can see the insulation. Now the hard part is to get the 3 inches off. So you can use a glove, a latex glove, to give you a little bit of grip so you don't slip. The latex gloves are easily available, so you can get them anywhere you're working. There is some other rubber pieces that we have around that gives you a little bit of grip. If you're used to it, you can usually pull it off within 2 or 3 tries, or 1 try, like that. So there's the outside sheath. Now you can see all the shield. Inspect it. Make sure you didn't. So what we need is, we're going to need roughly about 1 inch. So again, without measuring it, what I'll do is I'm going to take the wire, and I'm going to pinch it right above the insulation. What I'm going to do is I'm going to push it down, and I'm going to pinch it to the side. Oops. So now it's compressed. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it backwards, but I'm going to take a good set of cutters this time, and I'm just going to cut down, and 1 pull and it comes off. So now I have my shield, which is ready to work with. I can take my cutters and just kind of debraid it a little bit. I just want to unbraid the shield as I go. So there, just taking little bits at a time. And I'll move it to the side and then keep undoing it. So there, I got it. Kind of a mess, but it's all debraided. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that and I'm going to twist it to one side. So twist it up so it's nice and tight. and I'm going to fold it backwards. Oops. So there I have all twisted. I don't need that much, so I got a lot extra, so I'm going to cut it off about ½ an inch only that I need. So that's all I'm going to need is that little pigtail. All right. And I'm going to flatten that pigtail. I'm going to leave it like that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for my solder sleeve. So the solder sleeve has solder inside of it. That's the red. And then sealant on either end. So what I want to do is I want to get a wire to go into my shield to solder to it to terminate my shield. So once you got your 6 inches of your ground wire to go in there, what you're going to do is place it next to your little pigtail that you made to solder to it. Right now we're just doing one wire, but you possibly could be doing two. The trick is to hold it there, and the best thing to do is tape. So put a bit of masking tape down here to hold it in the right place, because it's going to get hot and you're not going to be able to hold it, and you'll move and it will come out of the wrong spot. So now you're ready for the solder sleeve. So you slide it over top. So you see the wires moving. So you want the solder sleeve, so the red part right on top. So you can see the solder sleeve, the red solder, the wire, my shield pigtail, the sealant on either end, and I should be ready for the heat gun. So the heat gun is set up typically for about 700 degrees Fahrenheit. There's usually a low and a high setting, and you're going to want a reflective tip. I'm going to put it on low fan so that it takes a little bit longer. You can see it's melting it, and there goes the solder, but it's not done yet, so keep going, keep going. I want to see that band disappear, and there it's gone, right? So it's completed. So it is hot, so don't touch it. So now you notice the sealant has sealed on my wires. It's sealed off the end as well. The solder has basically all gathered right at my connection of the two wires. So if I flip it over, there should be no solder at the bottom. It's all gathered at the top where the wires are. So that was one method. I'm going to show you the Raychem method now. That was Bombardier. And at the end, what I'll do is show you the differences and the advantages to each one. So this time I'm going to do a little quicker. So I'm going to take my wire. I'm going to mark it. Just touch the wire, bend it. All the way around to get my insulation off. Make sure it's all disconnected. Give it a pull. So once didn't do it. Second time. So now I have all the shield or the insulation off. For Raychem, I'm going to take it all, the shield right off. So all I need to do is push it right down, pinch it to the side, and then take my cutters and cut with the wires. Less chance of me nicking a wire or cutting through one of the wires. So again, I'm cutting with the wires. And that's it. It pulls right off, all in one piece. There's only a little bit of shield left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and just slowly trim it all off to get rid of it all. Oops. So there it is, trimmed. So now for the Raychem method, what they want you to do is to cut the insulation back a little bit further and then just pull it ahead slightly. So roughly about ½ inch. So I'm going to mark it. And then I'm going to take my knife, just touch around that the insulation as I rotate it, touch it again. I'm not putting any pressure at all on there, just touching it with a knife. A good sharp knife does the work. I don't want to cut through it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that and I'm going to pull it ahead about ½ of an inch without going taking it right off, which is the trick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly wiggle it, and that's about all I want right there. So I've taken that, about ½ inch ahead. You'll notice at the front is just the extra plastic or insulation. So I've left it on the front, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my ground wire into that spot. So I managed to find some electrical tape. You can see how it helps to hold it nice and tight against the insulation. So now, like I said, I'm gonna place the solder sleeve over top. You can still see your 2 wires in there. The solder band is in the solder sleeve. Sometimes they'll fall out, so just be careful. Now what you can do is grab your heat gun. Again, still at 700 degrees. And you're going to heat it up and watch the sealant melt first, and then the solder should go, but it's not complete yet. You shouldn't see any of that band, and there it goes. Pretty much finished there. You can see it's quite hot. So you're gonna let that cool down a bit. That's the Raychem method. So now we have take my electrical tape off. So we have 2 solder sleeves connected together, and then we have one pigtail that's going to go to ground, or it could go to the next shielded wire all the way down, and we call this a daisy chain of grounds. And that way we only have one wire to connect to that ground stud, and we can connect all the other wires to our connectors. So we'll have a look at these two to compare. So what we'll do is I'll start with the Raychem method. These are the two that you're going to practice, and there's many different variations on these. Each company kind of does it a little bit different. That'll be up to them on how to explain and train you on how to do it their method. I'll show you what the advantages and disadvantages. So the Raychem method first, it's again, first of all, it's difficult to keep that little piece of insulation there. And second of all, any oil or hydraulic fluid or liquids actually can go up underneath that insulation, and they can actually get inside of that. So this one is not technically sealed, which is not good. Second of all, because the solder and the shield are all intact, it solders all the way around that whole wire. If you by chance have nicked one of these two wires at the front, that solder will flow inside and it will short into that wire, and it'll short these wires to ground. So you have no way of knowing if that wire is shorted. If you look when we did this one, when I twist it backwards, it opens up the shield so that I can see if I've nicked the wire. If I've nicked the wire, I can redo it. And also, the solder is up on top of the insulation, not next to my wires. So the Bombardier method gets away from that. The Bombardier method is sealed at the end as well. There's no liquid that can get through the sealant on either end, which makes it nice. So now, what happens if I've made a mistake or I want to change something? Most times if you're going to add something, you're going to have to get into the shield and add a wire to probably the first wire that they did, which is the single, and add another wire to another wire that you're adding. To do that, I have to get access to that shield. If I've made a mistake, same thing, I have to get back access to that shield. How do I get these off? It's pretty straightforward. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take it, grab it, take your knife, and all you want to do is just place it on the ground and just give it a light score with your knife. You're not cutting it off. All you're doing is just scoring it a little bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the heat gun and we'll heat it up again. Oops, they're on hot. And what it'll do is it'll actually heat it and shrink it more, and it should split it open. And there it goes. You can see it split open. Now you got to be quick. And what you're going to do is take it. I can't do it. Take it while it's hot, and you pull it off. So now it's exposed, which is good. We can work with it. But now we come to the problem with the Raychem. So I can pull this off, right? Gone. My shield is fine underneath. But remember, that shield is now all soldered. So that that shield is soldered close to these wires. I have to cut that shield with my cutters, not cutting the wire all the way back to here to redo the shield. So this makes it very difficult. And to get these off, they don't want to come off, right? I can pull, they're stuck on there good. So now what I got to do is very, very carefully, I'm actually going to switch to the other ones. Use it very careful not to cut my wires, but I got to cut away that shield. And again, because it's soldered, it's hard. So you can see it's still all joined together, which makes your life miserable to try and fix these or work with them. So you're gonna have to basically rip off the shield and get the wire back to where the shield is not soldered. So again, very picky about cutting it. So now what we'll do is I'll show you the Bombardier method. So same idea, just take your knife, score it lightly on the plastic of the solder sleeve, heat gun, put it in the middle, heat it up, and there it splits. Heat up the front, you should see it split. A little hotter maybe, and there it goes. So it's pretty hot, you don't want to burn yourself, but you can just pick that off. Now, it was even hot enough to get my wire unsoldered. So what I can do, take my pigtail, lean it forward like that, cut it off, take my knife, go ahead, right, bend the wire, go around, bend it, so there's a spot that's not done yet. I got it. So open. This could be tricky. I can, if it's difficult, just take and just slightly score it down the center. I gotta be careful, I don't want to cut my wires. So now I have basically brand new shield to work with. I might just have to cut a little bit at the end.